All right, so now we're going to talk about running the Quick Start. So this is the Java Mirror API Quick Start that's provided by Google, the Glass team. And I'm going to run through how to get up and running on this. Okay, so I mean the first thing obviously is to pull down the code. Hopefully by now you've got the code downloaded and you're running it. If not, let's go to the web and Glass Mirror API Quick Start Java. So quick little web search here, Java Quick Start, download it on GitHub. So this is the thing you're going to clone. Okay. So you can come over to your terminal. And do git clone. Yeah. Copy or paste that in. Okay, now we're going. Okay, now we've got the mirror quick start. To get up and running initially, you're going to do maven install. Okay, should say build success there. And then you're going to, oh, by the way, there are some prerequisites for this. You're going to need the Java JDK 1.6 installed. You obviously need to be able to clone or at least download the project from GitHub and extract it. It's helpful to have terminal access like I have here. Maven, I think I might have mentioned, since we're using Maven to build and run this thing. And then you're going to want some access to a text editor or an IDE. For most of this I'll be using an IDE, but just to show you, I'm going to just do this in the command line. So maven jetty run is the command that we use to run this. So now it's up and running. I'm not going to hit it from here because I have not updated the OAuth properties file, so it actually won't work. But you can see that's all you need to do to get the code downloaded and running. I'm just going to blow this away here, so I don't need that. Okay, but you can see very simple. That's all we do. All right, let's jump back to here. So over here, I do have my own OAuth properties file. I'm not going to show you in the video, but basically, it's just using my my client ID and secret for this. Pretty straightforward. You need that to get it running, so I'm just going to do maven jetty run. Okay. So that's saying it started the server, and it's running on port 8080. Awesome, so I can go over here, I can fire up a browser, and I can go to localhost 8080. And bam, it starts doing stuff. So I'm going to click me, I'm going to click accept, and it should redirect me. Here we go, and there's my timeline with stuff going on, and I can click this is the bootstrap message that just came in, and I'm going to click the insert the above message here, and you're going to see it update this position. So now it's hello world, and you see this little notification that says things are getting inserted. Awesome. So at this point, hopefully you're up and running. Obviously, if you've got prerequisites to install, you've got to do that first. Maven can be kind of a pain if you're using Clips. My suggestion is just do the Maven stuff in the command line. It's way easier, especially since like jetty : run isn't a typical Maven command, so it may not show up for you. Okay, so. Right, on to the next thing. So one of the things that if we were in a classroom together, I'd be telling you, let's insert some logs, and just at least right off the bat, like let's take a look at what's being logged here. We're seeing some stuff in the auth flow happening, right? See the users logged in. We're bootstrapping a user. There's a subscription that fails to be created. Okay, so it's coming back with a warning. That's because we're running on localhost. So it says might be running on localhost. Well, that's what's happening. So obviously that's going to fail. And then there's some more auth filter stuff. You can see it says bootstrapper inserted welcome message, blah, 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 for user, blah, blah, blah. Great. That's cool. So, things are working. And this is, again, just like right off the bat with the quick start code. That's the idea of the quick start, is to start you at a point where you have a working app, and then you can kind of go and dig into the code, which is what we're going to do. So, speaking of digging into the code. All right, first of all, yeah, I've got my OAuth properties file here. Again, I'm not going to show it. It's not really necessary to show. Though, let's take a look. Let's Google again for Google Glass Java quick start, because there's instructions here that kind of will help. Okay, so again, they kind of talk about the prerequisites. So this is a good page to go to. It kind of like walks through a lot of this stuff. Actually, what I'll do is I'll show you like these steps. I did that in the last video, and I can certainly repeat it. It's fairly straightforward. But the quick start, the OAuth properties right here. So and the client ID might look a little different than this. It might have like it might be something that looks a little bit like an email. Well, let's take a look. So I'm gonna go to the developers.google.com. No. Yeah. Cloud console. So it's console.developers.google.com. Long API. Okay. So I'm going to create a project. So I'm going to just call this screencast fake project. Awesome. Let's do that. So now there's this thing that it's nice because it's like a little asynchronous thing that'll refresh the web page, but now there's at least some feedback immediately when you take this action. We just kind of have to wait, and I'll keep talking so that there's not silence on the video until that goes. Awesome, now we're in. Okay, so now the first thing that you're going to do is go to this APIs and auth section. Okay, I did this in the last video, but again, turn off the stuff that you don't need. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, so now we're going to pop down to Google Mirror API, which is rate limited at 1,000 requests per day. Okay, so you see it's on. Great. Go to credentials. Now we're going to create a new key. Actually, no. I think we create new client. Yeah, this is the one. So just, sorry, it's create new client ID. It's a web application. Okay, and what we're doing here is it's just local host 8080. Okay, so this is for development, obviously. If you're deploying this, like, and hopefully you've got SSL enabled, so you can do like glassware.mycoolproject.com. So if, for example, you've got like Glassware running at the Glassware subdomain, or just whatever this is, you can actually add a couple lines here so that you can develop and run it. typically for me, I like to have separate separate projects in the developer console, depending if I'm like doing dev work versus production. But that's just me. You don't need to do it that way. So, I don't know. Either way works. But yeah, that's what we do. So we're going to create the client ID, and this little spinny thing comes up. Now we get the client ID and the client secret. Okay, so these are the two parameters that they're talking about right here. So again, I said that it might not just be a number. It's not just a number, so you get this whole crazy long thing. And then the client secret. And before you think you can steal my stuff, I'm going to delete this right now. If you're in the class, I will be giving out something that you can use. So a little, something that's a little frustrating is that even though Mirror has been opened up beyond Glass Explorers, I've found in practice when doing these classes that it doesn't always work. So yeah, it's basically if you're kind of running through this and like everything's working except for your credentials, you may need to ping you might need to submit an issue or like go on Stack Overflow, like ping the team somehow, and like complain about it loudly. They will help you, but I think that they need to jump in and like get that figured out for you. So it's possible that that might be a roadblock. Find out early, and then hopefully it won't be too big of a blocker. Again, if you're going to take a class with me, then I will give you something to use in case that happens. But yeah, so that's that. Anyways, that's all about the OAuth properties file. You shouldn't need to know anything else about it because that is everything. And it's only 2 lines, so how much could there really be? Okay, so I'm going to take a look at auth filter. And let's see here. Yeah, so this is a filter which runs basically before and after requests. So it does both pre and post processing on all requests that run through here. And you can see, yeah. So I'm gonna add this line. It just says that we're running the auth filter. Okay. This is just so that you can see like how frequently this runs. So I'm gonna kill this. All right, I'm going to run it again. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm going to refresh, and it's going to make me log in. Okay, fine, good. And now, okay, so you can see running auth filter, picking off the auth filter, running auth filter. Okay, so you can see it runs it a bunch of times, and then I'm going to like click a button. And oh, we don't have any more logs. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here, you know, running the auth filter a bunch of times, which is good. It's what we expected to see, right? Great. So now we know that this is being run because it's a filter. Just explain what that was. Basically, it kind of gets itself in the flow in between your request and you know, going like the servlet that handles the request. So you can have like filters that chain that like, you know, you'll step through all the filters before your request gets received by the servlet. So you can do all sorts of cool stuff with them as it's coming in. So I'll leave that to your imagination, things that might be useful for with filters if you're doing a Java server. Sounds like fun. Okay. So right off the bat, if we're doing static content, or if we're already with the OAuth2 callback or notify, then notify, I think, is coming back from class. Then we don't need to do anything else here. We just continue on the filter chain. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to want to check to see if the user's logged in, right? Like that's pretty important. In fact, that's the entire point of this filter. So if the user is not logged in, then we're going to redirect them to the OAuth2 callback. And so this is like still on our service, right? But the thing that's handling, so it's the auth servlet, right? Like this is the thing that's defined in, let's see, where's the, yeah, WebXML. If we look at OAuth2 callback, this is the servlet name, and this is auth servlet, and we say URL pattern, so this is the path. It's attached to the auth servlet, right? Like, so this is here. This is handling all of our authentication requests, whether you're, whatever part of the process you're in, like all those things get handled here. And you could split them up if you really wanted to, but it's probably better to just have all the cases surrounding authentication handled in a single place, just for simplicity, right? So we can see we're gonna redirect the user here. So imagine you're an unauthenticated user, like making your request, and the filter picks you up, and it's going to redirect you to the auth servlet. Okay, so we're going to assume that there's no error. Okay, so we can continue on. We don't have a code yet. Okay, at this point we don't know what that is. Great, so we're just going to drop down here to the bottom, where we're going to do a new authorization code flow. So this is part of this is a Google provided object that is going to send you out to Google. It's going to build a redirect URI that's going to hit this same servlet when it comes back, and it also is going to match what you set up in the application credentials configuration. So it was like automatically creating, when you were typing in the address, like it was automatically creating a second one with this OAuth2 callback. So it's a good idea to leave that alone and just let that be OAuth2 callback. Right, and then you're going to redirect it out. Again, this is provided by Google, so it's gonna go to the right place, and then it's just like adding this redirect URI as a callback, basically. So it's saying like, okay, once you go out, when you come back, you're gonna hit this. Okay, so then we redirect the user there. So this goes out to Google. You get that screen that I showed you a minute ago, where it's you're logging in. Okay, and you like select your account, and then you hit approve, and then you come back. All right. So now, imagine you've done that. You've gone out to Google. You've clicked a couple things, and now you're coming back. Well, the auth filter again is going to pick you up and redirect you here because you still don't have a user ID. So great. So it's going to redirect you from the auth filter. It's also, I mean, it's hitting this thing anyways. I think that the auth filter picks it up. Oh wait. So sorry, it's not going to redirect you here because you're coming back to OAuth2 callback already. So then it's just going to continue on. You're going to come in. This time though, the code parameter should not be null. So when you come back from Google, Google should include a code there. Okay, so we say, all right, great, we've got our code. Now we need to exchange that code for an access token. And again, there's some helpful little Google APIs that help you do this. This part of the OAuth2 dance. So we're going to pull the code out, and we're going to request a token from them. And it's a token response. Okay. And from that token response, we get a user ID along with that. And so this is just a blocking call that we make in here, and so this should just kind of go out and come back all in line where like the user isn't going to see this part. We just kind of make these requests while they're sitting there waiting. So this is like right after they accepted the permission, we come back, and then this piece happens. Okay, and then we we get that response back. We set them in our. This is like a credential store, so it's something kind of specific to the quick start, but basically it allows you to just kind of cache these authentication pieces, so that if we're running and I just click refresh here, I don't have to log in again. That's all that does. And then we're going to redirect them to this new user bootstrap piece. Okay. So that's the next part I will talk about. Okay, so now we're into the bootstrap new user method. Okay, we've been redirected from a successful authentication, so we're all authenticated. Yay! What this is going to do is it's going to insert a hello world card. It's going to subscribe to timeline updates and insert a contact. So this is the contacts. We're just going to create a new contact object, set the ID, set a name for it, and an image. We're going to say that it accepts the take a note command, and then insert the contact with the mirror client. That's pretty straightforward. Next, we're going to subscribe to timeline updates, and this is the thing I showed you a minute ago, where it came up with that that failure, right? So it's going to say failed to create timeline subscription. That's going to happen every time in dev. If you're not running one of those like ngrok or something that's routing your local host to something publicly accessible. So that's okay though. It's in a try-catch block. We're kind of expecting it to fail in development here, and we're not going to use it right now. It's just too much of a hassle to get set up properly. So we're going to skip that, and now we're going to insert the hello world card, which says welcome to the Java Glass Java Quick Start. We create a new timeline item. We set the text on it. Set a notification and notification config. Set level default. So this is just going to like make a little beep with the bone conduction speaker, and then we use mirror client to insert the timeline item. Pretty straightforward. And then from here, we're like, we're kind of, let's see, we redirect. So this happened in the at the last part of getting authenticated, and then we're just going to redirect the user to their root. So let's take a look at the web XML again. This just defines like all of the servlets that handle stuff. So if I look and see what I want. Okay. So I think main is probably what we want here, right? Okay. So we're going to go to the main servlet. Right. So that's one thing that we want to look at. And the other thing that we want to look at is this index.jsp. And I'm actually going to look at this first. So main cares about the root path, and index.jsp also cares about that. So this is the view side, right? And this is the controller side. If you're thinking about the MVC model, the model view controller model. Okay, so now this is written in JSP. It's pretty straightforward. It's mostly just HTML, and then these little chunks with the bracket % are executing Java code server side for these pages that are getting served up. Okay, so like you make a request, the Java server executes this code, and then modifies, replaces any of these parts for the user with whatever generated information it needs. So it's like if it's an ID, or if it's some extra HTML or whatever it is. But pretty straightforward. If you know HTML, if you know Java, this should be fairly easy to read. Okay. So yeah, we can kind of take a high-level look at this. So your recent timeline, let's kind of take a look and see how that corresponds. Okay, so your recent timeline, that's that top part, okay? And then we have a row, and it's saying for timeline items, it's just iterating through all the timeline items, okay? So then that kind of corresponds to these blocks, right? So every time we insert a new message, we add something there, okay? And it's creating a table where each entry, excuse me, each piece is one of these timeline items, as you saw. So this all corresponds pretty nicely, and it's picking out like the pieces of timeline items. So get text, get HTML. Are there any attachments? So it really kind of shows you what you put into your timeline item, into your card, right? So it's pretty nice to have this tool. Like if you're kind of playing around with trying to add different pieces of the API, like yesterday I was trying to add attachments. I probably should have used this tool to check out like were those getting added properly. It would have been helpful. I didn't think of that, but it's it's a nice little kind of debugging tool because it's a there's a lot of stuff in here that they've implemented. Okay, and then this is like if you don't have anything in your timeline, you'll hit this else block and it'll just like okay you don't have anything there yet. Fine. Right. So the next chunk where it says timeline, this is this piece. So okay, this is where we have like all the buttons and then the little the edit text box here. So if we wanted to say like insert a new action, we might want to put that button somewhere in here in this chunk, right? Or if we want to look at like what the code is for this insert the above message, let's take a look at that. So here's the title. Okay. And so we're starting to get into these forms. Insert the above message. So that's the one that we were looking for. And it's build request, and then you see value insert item. Okay. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to the main servlet, and I'm going to search for that. Guess what? If the parameter here, if the operation equals insert item, then this is the block of code that corresponds to that first button. So that's how we're going to kind of match these up. So it's the operation. So you saw the parameter operation and the value insert item. Values insert item, right? And then it's this block of code. Just like if we wanted to insert a paginated item. Okay, so let's look for that. So insert paginated item. It's this block of code, right? We're gonna set some HTML on our timeline item that we're creating, and then we're going to create a list of menu items with open URI, and then set the notification level, insert that that timeline item. Okay, so the paginated HTML is what controls that. And that's basically how you're going to like map these back and forth between the index.jsp and the code. Okay, so we just saw how the content in index.jsp maps to the main servlet. So I think that next what we're going to do, oh, and I should give a little bit more context here. So this is happening in the do post. So these forms are submitted, those are post requests. They can't handled in the do post block method of main servlet. So now let's try and do something here. Let's add a delete menu item. So right now, if I insert these things, there's no menus on them. They just kind of sit in your timeline. They're kind of annoying. So maybe we want to be able to delete them. Okay. So let's take a look first at this insert item. Right? So I'm going to copy that and then search for it here. Insert item. Okay, I actually have the code already written. We're just going to create a list of menu items. So menu item list. We're going to add the delete action, and then to the list, and then we set the menu items on the timeline list. Okay, so now I'm going to kill it and I'm going to restart it. It's going to make me log in again. Let's do that. As soon as we come up here, we should be able to see some extra stuff. Uh-oh, operation timed out. What's going on? Let's try refreshing. There we go. Okay. So we're going to click the insert above message, which now has. Oh, so we're not printing menus. All right. Guess we maybe would want to add that code, maybe not. How involved would that be? Attachments. So let's try doing this. Let's just try adding a line. New items. Get menu items. So we're just going to get the first one, and we'll get the action on it. And we're only going to want to do this if there is a first one, right? Timeline item. So we're just going to want to do a null check here. And we're going to want to make sure that it's greater than 0. Okay, then we can do this, right? Fairly simple. I don't know why it's yelling at me, but oh, you know what? Let's do it this way. Okay. I think this works. Not 100% sure. I haven't tried this before. Okay, well, it's not yelling at me anymore, so that's a good start. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to try printing the action of the first menu item if it exists. Okay, save that, kill this, start it again. Okay. Yep, that's good. That's good. Okay, it's done the thing. It's bootstrapped. Menu items, none. Delete. See, it's there. It worked. Yay. Okay. So now we know that this is how you get menu items inserted. So I mean, I could, let's see, jump down to, you know, we could kind of add these delete actions in several places. Okay, you know, it's not super interesting. I'm going to comment this out again, just so that I keep track here myself. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add a location form. So I have the code here. I just copied and pasted, basically, and it's this insert item with location thing, which is this block here. Right. So just added this, and we're doing the same thing, creating a new timeline item, setting the text on it, setting some menus. We give it an address and a display name, and a latitude and longitude. So these things are needed to build the location object. And then when we create the menu items, the first one is going to be navigate. So it's a little strange that you need to explicitly add this, but you do. You know, you'd think that if you're going to insert a location, that would be just kind of automatic, but it's not. So we have to add that. We're also going to add read aloud and delete. And then we set the menu items on the timeline item. We set the location, and we give it a default level notification, and then we're going to insert it. Okay. So yeah, so let's do that. So it's saved. Gonna run again. Log in again. So now we have this new button, insert a card with location. Click it, and you see the first. So I'm only printing the first menu item. It's navigate, and you know this text here. Not printing the. So I could try adding. To the table location stuff. So let's do that. Say location. Location is not null, right? There's not multiple locations. So we're just going to say get, and then we're going to get the address out of the notification. Okay. And rerun it. Log in again. And you see the location showing up here, which is quite nice. And so that worked. So now at this point you've like modified the Java Quick Start. You're up and running. From here you can kind of think about like how to start taking some of these concepts and building your own glassware with them. So I hope this was helpful. Alrighty.